Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Fed Up with me, Fed Up Gaz, still flu infested, but yeah, whatever. So, joining me today are Scott and Hardip from Imperium. How's it going today, guys?
Really good, mate. Thank you very much.
It's good to hear, man. Good to hear. So, could you both just introduce yourselves? Tell us, what you do in the band, what you play, etc.
You go first, Hard.
Yeah, of course. My name's Hardip. I'm the lead guitarist in Imperium.
And I'm Scott, and I'm rhythm guitarist in Imperium.
Yay, nice, man. So, one thing I always like to do to get into is looking at the artwork with bands, and it's quite a striking cover. I thought, it's when kings meet, you've got a king there. He's got like a broadsword in his chest. What looks like, I'm guessing, possibly undead knights or maybe corpses around him. So, I just wondered who come up with the artwork and brought that vision to life for you.
To be fair, I think it was Ben came up with pretty much the whole concept of it. I think once he said it was going to be called When Kings Meet, then we all had a vision of what we might put on there. But if you look closely, you'll see a chess piece in the king's hand.
Oh yeah.
And Ben had this idea of two people playing chess, and then the two king pieces, one of them would move a piece, and then it would in the video that we're going to try and make, it would transfer into basically a full-on battle between two kings.
Wow.
So the corpses or the heads are pawns, and then the piece in his hand is a king.
Oh man, nice.
Emperor,
yeah. Oh, that's awesome, man. So I've got to ask you, I've got my nerdy imagination going crazy already hearing about this. So in the video, I'll try and behave myself because I don't want to give too much away, but are there going to be any possible scenes with seeing people, like you said, the kings meeting, fighting each other, any kind of like reenactment guys or people who've got access to some weapons, that they can use?
Well, because Ben does like this armored fighting thing.
Nice.
Yeah, the idea is we can get his team to battle it out on camera. But because
they've got all the weapons, or whatever, whatever they use in a battle, they've got everything. So it should be quite epic.
I've got to show you. I've got to show you something now. Just so I said that. It's live. I've got to, man. So might be wondering what is this guy doing? Has he gone crazy or something? But hearing about this with weapons and Ben doing that kind of thing, just realised how that sounded. There you go. There's my own as well. And I'll just so people know it's not plastic. Here we go. So
if we film the video, we use the actual sword if you want.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, you can be in the video if you want.
Hey, that'd be tight, man. I haven't trained for a while in that. I mean, I do martial arts myself, as you can probably tell, but I used to do a lot of the Dark Ages combat fighting, and it's so much fun. It hurts like hell, and you're always covered in bruises and much worse. But it was so much fun just basically annihilating each other with ancient weapons and stuff. So.
If we do it, you've definitely got to get involved then.
Yeah. Definitely. Sorry about that, folks. A flu attack. So, no, that sounds tight. So, what inspired the title for the EP?
I'm stumped, to be fair.
Hey, it's okay. It's honest time.
Well, I think it's because this was probably our favourite tune out of the 4 tracks.
Yeah.
And because it was called When Kings Meet, we feel like the whole EP is about us trying... Well, my opinion is it's us trying to show what we're made of. And we want to be not kings as such, but try and be as big as possible. And it's quite a powerful, punchy song. So we think what title track.
Yeah.
So it's quite a domineering title. So yeah,
I think the way it starts as well, it captures people's ears straight away. So then we thought it would be a good idea to start the EP with this song, and it just kind of made sense making the title of the EP this as well.
Yeah, it really is it's a good title, a good statement. It really does fire up the imagination as well. You know, it conveys powerful imagery in my mind of these like kings, you know, armies meeting on a battlefield fighting, which really blends nice with the music. With you have that mix of kind of traditional heavy metal with definitely a thrash vibe coming in there as well. Some awesome riffs too. So I'm just wondering for Desperate Screams, which follows on from When Kings Meet, could you tell us a little bit about what inspired the lyrics, the title, and how you put the music to match them as well? I know I've put you right on the spot.
I know. I'll let Hard tell this story because I love hearing how it started.
Yeah, it was. So when I come up with like the skeleton of the song, let's say, it sounded quite like dingy and dark, maybe. And like the interesting thing about Ben is he always writes about the first thing he thinks about when he hears a riffs. So you know, he's like, the song sounds a bit dark, and like the next week he comes in the studio and he was just like, I want to sing about an orphan or an orphanage.
Right.
We're like, okay, fine. And then the following week he comes in and like he starts singing the chorus, and where now it says Desperate Screams, he was singing Timothy, and we were like, "Are you singing Timothy?" And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "It's about an orphan dog," and he goes, "And I want to name the dog." And none of us were too keen on that idea, so we had to kind of sit him down and say, "Listen, mate, we can't name a song Timothy."
Yeah. Can you imagine if we ever made it and then just everyone thinking like how powerful Desperate Screams is, and it was going to be called Timothy.
Well, you know what immediately comes to my mind?
He went away. He went away.
Sorry, go on, man. Sorry, I cut you off.
What was that? Sorry,
I thought I'd cut you off there.
You keep going like.
Yeah, it's a bit on and off.
Am I cutting out a bit? Okay. I should be better now. Hearing the word, I think if I heard the word Timothy, I'd immediately think of South Park as well, with Timothy in South Park. So yeah, that would be be a different title for sure, and it'd be interesting to see a crowd's reaction to that as well.
It's powerful, would it? Really?
You know, do you find that though, as a band, you can do that where you can, if you feel an idea is not going to quite flow, you can sit down with each other, you know, communicate and say, listen, man, this maybe isn't going to cut it. We need to change this or edit it.
100%.
Yeah. That's all part of the process. Like, the final edition you hear is 5 different interpretations, and it's everyone's ideas. And like, if someone doesn't like the idea, then you know that person who come up with it is just open to criticism, let's say, or constructive criticism.
Yeah, that's good to hear, because
I think that's healthy.
Yeah, it's definitely healthy, because there's some bands where they can't take that criticism when necessary, or they don't learn that lesson either. And then that's, of course, when you got all the drama, band fallouts, etc. And with any kind of writing, sometimes we all think, oh man, yeah, this is awesome, this is rad, I've got like the best idea ever. And then you need that fresh pair of eyes to say, actually, this part here is maybe not quite flowing. You haven't wrote like a Stephen King masterpiece or whatever. So yeah, that's
exactly.
Yeah, definitely, man.
It's because we're all mates. Like, we were mates before the band was started, and if the band ended tomorrow, we'd still be best mates. So you know, we don't always get on like angels. Yeah. But we have constructive criticism for each other. And if we don't ever fall out, but nothing's always eye to eye, but because we're mates, everything's fine, like resolved there and then. Like you say, with ideas, no one's offended if someone doesn't like something. We won't just say, nah, that's shit. Yeah. What about this? What about that? And we never ever fall out, because we're mates basically. There'll be no drama or divas, because it's just not Imperium. It's not what we do. Yeah.
So that's the best basis though, and for constructive criticism as well, and saying, right, oh yeah, this totally sucks. I mean, yeah, sometimes though it can come out in frustrations or whatever, but it's just learning, to take it home means it personally, and then moving on with it. So before we get into talking about the other songs, I understand that you played Bloodstock last year, I believe, for the first time. So that must have been quite a special memory for you all.
It was real special, man.
Yeah.
But like me and Hard, we've been mates since we started senior school, and when I played guitar because of Hardip, he came with me to get my first guitar, and we always said that something would happen. We didn't know what would happen. We just always felt something good would happen. And then after we finished playing Bloodstock, like me and Hard just took a moment to reflect and have a beer in the sun, and our friends and family were there, and it was proper special, man. It was real good, especially for me and Hard. Just like in that moment, just like, look, this is how far we've come.
Yeah,
let's push on from here as well.
Yeah, and like, for all we know as well, that could be the extent of how far we go. Hopefully not, but that was we're going to take that as the most special moment in our since the band started and since me and Scott started playing together.
Yeah, definitely good building block there, and hopefully even getting on like Hellfest in France, something like that as well. That would be pretty insane.
Yeah, but yeah, we wanted to use it as fuel to push on. Basically, if it is the goal, then a lot of bands haven't achieved that, but we want to achieve more.
Yeah, definitely. There's something the nerd in me I noticed. Is that a poster of Arnie you've got on your wall in the background, Scott?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it was my brother's, to be fair. I lived with him. I'm going to replace it with an Imperium canvas.
Yeah.
Good, but I still think it looks pretty cool. It's a
now that you've been called out.
You are?
Now that you've been called out, you're going to replace it.
No, it's terrible. But it was there till I saw it in the camera.
No, it's pretty awesome, man. I noticed things like that, and
it's an iconic.
It is.
It's an iconic photo.
And you got to respect what he did as well in bodybuilding, and how he got on from there. So I mean, it's his story is super interesting for sure, from where he came from, and then how he's got to where he is as well. It's pretty interesting stuff. That's why I was asking. I thought, are you a fan of Arnie? Do you work out yourself, bodybuilder, lift the weights? Which I'm guessing is I can pretty much got a hunch that you do.
I dabble with the gym. I wouldn't say I'm a bodybuilder as such.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's more the picture's more to do just because of how powerful it is. Like he's in competition, all the fans around him.
Yeah.
More than anything else.
Take your top off, Scott.
Yeah, flex.
Good chance, man. Now the summer's gone, I'm on a bulk. I've put on it's a stone in about 6 weeks. So it's no.
I haven't lifted for quite some time, to be honest. I had a real bad injury where I was on crutches for 9 months, and it shows, once you stop lifting and working out, man, the bit of mass that I'd created just went. So I'm gonna have to start all over again from scratch. But it is what it is. I enjoy it because it's keeping in that routine. It gives you something to focus on. It gets rid of a lot of stress as well, and there's something spiritual about it as well, I find, which
when you get back into it, mate, I'm a pretty good. Drop me a message and I'll just give you some pointers and stuff and get you.
Oh yeah.
Get you back on track, man. Especially if you had an injury, work around it and rehab you.
Yeah, it'd be great. Well, what happened was a lot of people ask, "Oh, were you training at the time at the gyms and you did the injury, or were you running?" I said, "No, I was just walking in a park and I literally went over on my ankle, tore some of the tendons and ligaments." So that was great fun. So the worst is when you're used to doing something and you're in that routine, and then you pretty much can't really do anything. And I was going nuts, man. It was horrible. Yeah. So it was just like binging on movies, reading lots of books, sat watching the World Cup, which was pretty boring actually. So anyway, I'll get back onto your music because I'm going off on a tangent.
Time to get back with your fitness, mate.
Yeah, definitely. I always encourage that with people. Fitness, getting rid of stress. It just helps in so many areas in your life. I think just helps get you organized too. So Desperate Screams, which follows on from When Kings Meet. Did I ask you about that actually?
Yes, mate. Yeah,
I did. Right. Sorry about that. Right. Well, I thought so. So
Yeah.
Northern Barbarian Muppet time there. Anyway, moving on to Capable of Murder. This one I really liked a lot, and you've included it as one of the live songs on the EP as well. It's got some thunderous riffs. It's a track that really grabs hold of you, really wants you to swing your head around. So I just wondered if you could tell us, both of you, a bit about the inspiration for the title, the lyrical themes, and then how you put the riffs together for it as well.
Do you want to? It's another
loaded question.
No, it's another funny-ish story. To be fair, so Hard came up with the bulk of the riff, and then Ben was like, "Oh, it's got a real like punky vibe to it."
Yeah.
Chorus is quite a punky sort of catchy vibe, and I don't remember the lyrics exactly, but basically Ben went away with this idea because we're quite diverse. You know, we don't look like traditional metalheads. We've got quite a diverse band. You know, I'm the white head, Hardip's Asian, Ben's ginger, James is a vegan, Raffler's from Hong Kong. So Ben went away and we're basically the Capable of Murder. James Ben was like, one of us is vegan. And I'm like, it was just terrible. I know I said we give constructive criticism, but when he come out of Timothy and that, like, because we're mates, we were like, mate, what are you doing? That's horrific. But that's where he got the melody at least. And then he went away and was like, actually, no, it's quite dark. And then the concept for Ben was, it's about initially like domestic violence or, you know, toxic love. And then he came up with the concept of, you know, basically ended up killing someone that you love, pretty much. And then Capable of Murder. And then like the lyric is Till Death Do Us Part. That's in there as well.
Yeah.
It's open to interpretation. I see it as, a poisonous relationship. And Ben touched on that. But then he said it's actually more about like psychological problems and stuff. So it's how you interpret it.
Yeah, you can take it as someone who might be deemed as schizophrenic as well, like the battle between themselves. So yeah, as Scott said, it's you know, it's open to how you interpret yourself.
Yeah, very much so, and I think is very relevant, especially as a lot of the horror stories we heard in COVID with increased domestic violence, then people's mental health problems, which still dealing with now as a result of that. And you could take it in so many ways, as you said, even in a horror vibe. If you think of like somebody say Trapped in the Crypt, Desperate Screams or something, there's so many different ways it could be taken. But I think when hearing on the mental health side and the toxic relationships as well, that makes the song even more powerful in that regard, because when you sometimes hear about, say, somebody who's in one of those kind of poisonous relationships and they've suffered both that physical and mental abuse, and they've been pushed to that edge where they've, you know, capable of murder. You know, I'm not obviously encouraging that for a second here, folks. Disclaimer alert there. But maybe if you'd went with Timothy, that could have made you all capable of murder at that point. I can't wait till
it's quite, because it's got that punky poppy sing along chorus. You know, you forget it's actually quite dark, and I interpret it as a really poisonous relationship. I even though the chorus is the big bit, I love the bridge before the solo. Ben's "I love you to death, till death do us part," and that's really powerful for me. And he's a lyrical genius, actually. To be fair to Ben, we knock him, but he's actually quite poetic, and it's quite good when you actually sit written.
It's inadvertent though. He doesn't know what he is.
Do you both think though metal's good in that regard, where we can kind of comment on social situations, politics, whatever it is, but you can do it in kind of a very artistic, sometimes over exaggerated way, even change the setting if it's, like I said, horror themed or sci-fi or whatever it is, but it kind of enables us to easily comment on experiences and things that are going on.
Oh, 100%, man. That's the beauty of it, isn't it? So
yeah,
it's one of the main reasons why I'm into the music, because it's so experimental.
Yeah.
You can play what you want, you can sing about what you want, and people can relate. I think some people are afraid to talk about a few things, or afraid to be judged about talking to people they know. So you can sing about it. You can come together in a crowd, and everyone's in the same position as you.
Yeah, definitely. And it's, as you said, it's so diverse because I'm a huge underground hip hop and hardcore punk guy as well. I love those styles of music. One of my favorite UK crews in hip hop is Triple Darkness, fantastic crew. But I've noticed with metal, the genres, it is so wide ranging, and every day we keep getting a new subgenre and people incorporating different forms of music. And look, regardless of what anyone likes, that genre or whatever, it's evolving constantly. I think it's probably, of all the music I like, the one that is the amount of subgenres is absolutely insane. It's ridiculous.
It is. I think it's most subgenre of the genre out of insane. Don't like all of them, but I like most of them.
Yeah. I'm the same, man. I do like what we've seen in recent years as well. With we've seen a lot of bands using paying homage to their ancient cultures and using ancient instruments as well, fused with extreme metal. That's quite good. That's giving it a nice edge, and that stuff's been cool. Anyway, getting back to your music again. Another random tangent there. I do that a lot. It's a bad habit of mine. Iron Thunder. This is a good one. I'm interested in the story behind this as well. So, was anything amusing behind this? Was the another Timothy episode, or was this one quite straightforward with the lyrics and song title?
It's about Ben's pet goldfish. This one. It wasn't. I want Hardip to describe this one, because I'll just summarise well quickly. Basically, all songs, we come to the studio with ideas and we all mishmash them together. But this is basically as it is. Hardip made it in one hit, pretty much. So,
wow.
Over to you, young man.
It's what I find interesting about it is that it's pretty much kind of on beat and off beat the whole way through, but it's quite subtle. And so it's it can be, it's a bit complicated to kind of play, which I like. I like to make things a bit complicated.
Mate, that's
and it's the other thing I liked about it is within one riff, it's got like a thrash element, and the tail end of the riff it goes into a bit of a groove, and so I think it's quite a good. It gives it a bit quite a good contrast. And just kind of followed suit, the whole way through the song, really. And it's probably the first song that we've done which sounds as melodic as this.
Yeah.
And it kind of gave Ben the opportunity to kind of test his vocals out, which he done quite well on the chorus.
Oh, you know,
very well.
Yeah, for real. It's and I like the trailer you did for the video as well, and you see the destroyers and aircraft carriers firing there. It's very very powerful. And what excuse me, where was the where did you film that as well?
It was there's a place called Beachy Head down south near Brighton or Eastbourne, and it was a few sort of cliff tops down from there. But initially you asked the theme of the song. To be fair to Ben, straight off the bat, this was a nautical theme for him. Straight away, he's like, I just envision two ships that's going to war. Me and Hardip, there's another video of us on our Patreon, open up about it. We were like, oh, for God's sake, what's he talking about? But we let him go with it, and then when he came to the studio, he was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, that's special." We shouldn't have doubted him really, but it was quite funny. We didn't know what he was going to come out with, but yeah, he straight off the bat, Ben thought of big naval battles, dying at sea, dying for no reason sometimes, and I mean, again, if you read those lyrics, it's powerful. He's good. He's done a good job.
Yeah, and I like the video itself as well. It matches the song perfectly because you've got like you said, where it was filmed, you've got like all the fog and sea mist coming in, so it really does go with the song. And you could think of, say, after a battle, and you've got like, visibility is really poor from all the smoke or whatever. So I thought that really flowed with it perfectly, and a nice follow on from one of your earlier videos, which was more like Viking themed, Ragnarok.
Yeah.
The ships on that one. So I thought it was kind of a nice, another nautical theme, but obviously in a different era. So that was pretty cool stuff for sure.
We got lucky with that because it was meant to be clear all day long, but where we started so early, most of the shots are taken whilst it was just so fog, you could barely see anything, and we were like, "Oh, this is special." And then when we were driving there, it was like, "Quick, we got to get there quicker whilst it's still really thick." To add to the atmosphere. So
we're lucky it stayed, because when the fog cleared, it was like one yacht, and you can see in the background, and like that would
it wasn't very
Dude, I always find it funny, when you get those like period dramas and the film is shot somewhere and they say, right, we want this from the 18th century or whatever, everything authentic, and then you get like a modern ship goes past in the background. I mean, it was the famous Starbucks, I think, coffee incident with Game of Thrones, wasn't it? And I always think that's why I thought they must have been there for hours and hours, say, just to film this one shot. And then this great big, say, modern tanker goes past in the background. Man.
And the funny thing is as well, what you don't see the other side of the camera is the hundreds and hundreds of tourists smashing a drum kit at 8 a.m. That was well embarrassing. It's hard to do that for me.
Give them a memory, that's for sure. Hey, we went to the UK and this is what we saw, some random crazy dudes there smashing the drums.
Because obviously we could mime the guitars, but you can't mime a drum kit. So, like, the drum kit was smashed to death. Yeah, brilliant.
I love it, man. I love it. So when Ben's writing the lyrics, have you guys already got the music prepared in advance, and then does Ben sit down with you all, and do you then decide which of the music that you've got recorded would suit the lyrics best?
Well, it's Ben likes to write lyrics when the song is pretty much done. So, like, if we got an idea, we'll send it to James to stick some drums on it. We start jamming it, and then Ben starts getting the ideas about lyrics and getting some melodies in his head. And I think he likes the drums on it first, so he knows what the energy is like.
Yeah.
I think if he starts writing something and then the energy, the drum brings a different energy, and then I think like he has to start from the beginning again. But yeah, he prefers it when the song's like kind of 80% done.
Yeah.
And then he'll come back with a concept, and then obviously depending on what it is, we might go, okay, then that doesn't suit this 1% of the song. Let's change that bit, or let's take that bit out. But the bulk of the song's done. He creates a vibe with it, the theme or the energy, and then we'll modify accordingly. Just
nice.
They come together perfectly then.
Yeah. So I'm just wondering as well, where do you all, another loaded question here, where do you both, well, the first part, where do you draw your influence and inspirations from for when you're playing your instruments? Is there anything that has an effect on you that's been quite a good creative source of inspiration?
For me personally, Metallica, Megadeth, Judas Priest, and then initially Nirvana, believe it or not. That was what got Hardip gave me Nevermind, the album, and I just bought a guitar based album. So that's my main influences. Musically, obviously Metallica and stuff, but in terms of actually getting into it, then Nirvana.
Yeah.
And same story for me. You know, like I grew up listening to grunge, and me and Scott kind of started our metal journey together. But you know, one of us heard Metallica, and we were like, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah.
And then we just started like just exchanging CDs, like you know, for years and years, like getting into Metallica, Priest, Megadeth, Pantera. It was just like a brilliant journey.
Yeah. I could. It's funny when I was listening to the EP, I could hear that kind of early Metallica, Megadeth vibe coming through. I mean, Dave Mustaine, awesome guitarist as well, and it had that nice mix. I remember talking to Chris from Imperium, and I think I was saying, and I mean this in a good way. I was like, I don't know quite where to place them, like whether full on thrash or bits of traditional heavy metal, because it's like borderline on both. But what I like as a listener is with the music and the vocals combined, the clean vocals I feel work really nicely. And I'm saying this as a guy that listens to a lot of, you know, harsh and clean noise as well. But I feel it really blends with the musicianship, with the riffs. I think that does it justice. And this is no ego stroking here. I don't know, maybe someone would have a different opinion to me on this. I feel if there were unclean vocals, it wouldn't quite do the music justice. I feel like you can hear that partnership. You know, was that always your intention with the influence you said, to have the clean vocals so it would match the instruments perfectly?
Absolutely, yeah. That's how we wouldn't then start wanting to hear something different, basically.
Yeah.
And that's why Ben likes us, because that's what he wants to do.
Yeah.
It's a compliment that you say we can't be pigeonholed, because we don't try to be different. At the same time, we don't try to be a subgenre either. We just play what we play, and it just so happens that you can't really pinpoint what it is, and that's probably because of all the different influences.
Yeah.
Band. So that's a big compliment. We like that. We like hearing that. We don't want to be pigeonholed.
Yeah.
We're not thrash, we're not heavy metal, we're just a bit of everything.
It's always good to step outside the box, though, with anything and like you said, just play what you like. And sometimes I'm kind of going to contradict one of my earlier points where I was saying, you know, about with the diversity. We have so many genres in metal, but sometimes I feel like it can get so insane where it's like, hey, let's just call this metal, let's just call this heavy metal, regardless of what it sounds like, and just enjoy it, and appreciate the music, and for that style, what bands such as yourselves are doing. But a question for you, Hardip. You're mentioning growing up on grunge. Do you feel grunge is often underrated? I know we've got some grunge bands that kind of coming back now, and others who class themselves as post-grunge, but I just wondered if you feel maybe grunge is sometimes overlooked. What I mean by that is in like terms of
I think so, yeah. It was yeah, I think it's kind of, I always find it hard to find people who are actually into grunge. And so I think yeah, it's good that it's coming back. I think, you know, it's good that people have still got that, you know, that old school influence. I think it's massively underrated. Yeah. I think there's a lot of experimental music you can do with grunge as well.
Yeah, and it can have that that very introspective feel to it, with the lyrics, still that dirty edge as well. And the reason I asked is I noticed a lot of friends from underground hip hop. I find a lot more of them actually into grunge than other metalheads. One of my there's a guy who runs another channel that I co-host with him, Planet X Films, Ross, and he used to be an underground hip hop MC. Worked with some of the cats from Wu-Tang Clan, people like that, and he's a huge grunge head. And I've noticed when I've talked to people from that scene, they all like grunge because as well of the lyrical content. And like you said, Hardip, and then I've comparing that to people in metal, I've noticed not so many of them really seem to be into grunge, or like, oh man, that sucks, it's horrible. I think, well, if you look at the history of it, for how it kind of reinvigorated metal, got it back out there. It's like a gateway for people getting into that music as well. And that's why I just wondered if you also thought it's sometimes overlooked and underappreciated. So
and them style of riffs as well. I don't hear them anymore. Especially I know that we're predominantly metal, but like even in other genres of the rock music, you don't really hear them sort of styles or riffs or them sort of structures anymore. And so it's as you said, it's definitely underrated.
Well, if the Bleach by Nirvana, I mean, that is like real sort of heavy, punky. I wouldn't even say grunge, so you can tell where they got their influence from, and then there's no doubt many metal bands probably all started out on that sort of stuff anyway. If the Offsprings of this world and stuff, and then because then early Offspring was like you could still hear the elements of thrash coming through in the punk. So I think it's a unsung hero. I think deserves a lot more people. We don't realise they're actually influenced by it or are into it because they might not consider the band they like to be a grunge band, maybe.
And we get mocked quite a bit, like saying that we first got into music through grunge. It's like people do tend to take the piss out of that because they think it's, I don't know, maybe weak or I don't know.
Metal elitism,
Keepers, man.
It's oh man, don't get me started on that. Look, I've said this on so many shows. I'm not going to sit here and say that I didn't go through my death metal phase where I'm like, death metal is law and nothing outside of that is real and blah blah blah. And then obviously you learn not to be an idiot and expose yourself to more music, talk to people from different scenes, different cultures. But the people that either don't get out of that mindset, and I'm like, look, I'm not going to say that I like every genre of metal, every genre of hardcore or punk, of course not. But I just move on. I don't waste my time, being a keyboard cowboy, sending a band a load of hate online, because frankly, I haven't got the time to do that. And I'm like, look, dude, what are you getting out of that if you don't like it? And I feel those attitudes as well. It turns people off the metal scene. It kind of reinforces that stereotype where, no, this is a very exclusive, elitist scene where, no, how dare you come in? You're not welcome. If you don't look metal enough, you don't like enough brutalist bands as me, I can't accept you in that scene. I think that's totally the wrong way because, look, it's a niche scene to begin with. So the more people that can come into this music, hopefully even bring in some fresh interpretations and ideas, it's much better for everybody involved, rather than excluding people. And something that, look, you guys mentioned earlier, you don't look like the typical metalheads. Hey, neither do I. It really doesn't matter. I'm a believer in you don't have to wear a uniform for any music or be any particular color to enjoy it. It's about loving the music and appreciating the art. It's
No, definitely, man. And it's funny because in reality, when we were in school, I mean, we were quite lucky. Me and Hard were sort of between the cool people and the bullied people. We were in the middle, right? So, but in general, people who were into heavy metal and stuff were mocked and picked on, right?
Yeah.
You'd think that these people that have grown up getting bullied and ostracized and mocked for their appearance would then not be bullies or make comments about appearances and stuff. They would be embracing and be like, oh, I know what it's like to feel like I'm the odd one out. I'm not going to be like that. And yet we found when we first got into the scene, it sounds like it doesn't offend us, but people were saying like, oh, you don't look metal, you don't look like you're part of this scene. And it's like, you probably spent your whole school life getting bullied and now you're being a bully. Like, it doesn't, just because you two wrongs don't make a right. Like, you should open up your arms and let people in. It's not so much now with us. Now we're sort of like a bit more known on the scene. But imagine it's tough for a band coming through to feel like it's an elite club or gatekeepers and they can't access people or talk to people.
Yeah.
You'd like to think the metal scene shouldn't be like that, having probably been filled with people that have been bullied. And yet it is quite an elite club.
Yeah. And sadly, those attitudes are in other underground scenes as well. You can find it in hardcore, even in underground hip hop. The elitist in all of those scenes will think theirs is the only underground, theirs is the most real. Nothing else, exists. There's no other underground music. And like you were saying, of people who've been used to being ostracized, bullied, you'd think, come on, this isn't the way. And I find it silly, and like, just because I'm like, if you go in the gym, where there's people from absolutely all backgrounds, all shapes and sizes, and generally the attitude with most is people are friendly, they're helpful, they want to encourage you when you're working out your routine, they will help you, they will share knowledge. I know we've recently got some idiots going in there making fun of people for TikTok videos, which I'm totally against. That's just not the place for it, and that is. We could do a whole other show on how that's ruining gym culture, in my opinion. But it was kind of one of the, as you were saying, I think you mentioned, Scott, about people should be more accepting, especially with growing up that background, and being ostracized and bullied. It's why I make Fed Up as organic as possible. I obviously am interested in the creative process, what you do, why you make your music, but an environment where people can come on here, we can have a natural, organic conversation, have a bit of a giggle as well, and try and put something positive out there, and say, look, hey, people, this is who the band are, this is what they're about, there's things we can relate to, put that human aspect onto it. So
yeah, that's good, man. Appreciate it.
No, you're welcome, man. I'm just curious as well. I've got to ask you this because you mentioned the punky vibe, and in blah 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 blah, capable of murder. Yeah. Do you both know the punk band Crown Court from London by any chance?
No, I don't. I hate to admit that I don't know. So.
Oh man, possibly from Tottenham. I think they are Spurs fans.
And so fuck them then.
Yeah, was that an Arsenal fan? Did you say that?
I'm an Arsenal fan. Yeah.
Yay, me too.
I'll open my arms and I'll check them out and see what they're like.
Yeah. Oh man, they just did a tour in the States. Pretty good kind of oi punk band, underrated one. But yeah, they probably wouldn't appreciate me saying to them, "Hey, I'm Arsenal as well." So
well, I was born, even though my dad was a skinhead, still liked his punk. So I know they're mainstream, but Sex Pistols and Sham 69, I was brought up on, and I love that. So I do like my punk. So I'll check them out, man.
Yeah, well, punk, and I think that the influence that punk and hardcore had on extreme metal as well. It's I mean, Discharge, absolute classic too. So getting back to Imperium for a second.
They're boring.
We don't want to talk about them. When you were talking about do any of some life experience as well that must come into influencing, I'd imagine, the songwriting process and the titles. So I know you're saying like, Ben does a lot of the writing and is a lyrical genius, but has there ever been any moments where either you, Scott, or you, Hardip, have had an idea and thought, look, could we do a song based around this concept?
Several, like, we will say this sounds a bit like this, and then we go on a tangent. But none of us have said, "Oh, this thing's happened to me. Can we write a song about it?" Yeah. We went through a little bit of a phase, the back end of 2022. It's a whole nother conversation, but some accusations weren't true. We got in trouble. Everyone realised we didn't do anything wrong, and that was quite a dark period for us. And that's the only time me and Ben have spoke about actually writing a song about that experience. And that will come through to fruition. I've got a few riffs for it, and then no doubt when Ben gets hold of them, we'll go back to that place and write about it. But no, nothing specific from our life, but definitely, like I said, capable, the mental health aspect. Yeah. We've all had our struggles, right? But I've had mine, and I told Ben I felt this way about this part of the song or this lyric. Maybe he went with it based on what I said, but no, I can't recall a specific moment we've sat down and said, let's write a song about that.
Yeah. I think with Ben, like, this is is part of the art, and we don't really want to interfere with that sometimes. Everyone's got their part to play, and I think it's quite important for everyone to run away with their part. And we've never been disappointed with what Ben does anyway. So we've got full confidence that he's going to come with decent lyrics and decent melodies.
Well, at least the lyrics are shit. We can change them.
Yeah. Apart from them 2 songs. But yeah, like we tend to kind of just let him crack on with it.
He's not failed us, has he? Whatever his system is, it works. He just comes back with a banger. He writes great lyrics. Like I say, if you read them,
yeah,
and I liken it to, and this is again my own personal view on it. I used to love buying CDs, and then with Metallica, they would put the lyrics in there. I don't know if other bands do that, but Metallica did. And you could read a Metallica song, just the lyrics, and it's a poem.
Yeah.
Or interpret a certain way. So I think Dyer's Eve, you read that and it's like, wow, this is powerful.
Yeah.
Frayed Ends of Sanity, that for me represents mental health and struggles perfectly, and it's amazing. And I have the same vibe when I read Ben's lyrics. We mock him, but actually he's really bloody good. And
if you listen to on our first EP, we have a song called The Passing, and we come up with the structure of the song. And at this point, Ben got the unfortunate news that his granddad had like weeks or months to live, and so Ben wanted to write about that. And it's very clever the way he's written it, because it's what he's going through at that time. So you hear the anger, you hear the upset, you hear the confusion, and then at the end he's content with the idea. And it's very hard hitting, that song.
Yeah, so sorry to interrupt you, mate. Yeah, I contradict myself. That is the one time that Ben wrote, because I forgot that he wrote it whilst his granddad was dying.
Yeah.
I thought afterwards, but yeah, that's even more powerful. And if you watch a YouTube video, we didn't do this, but James made the video, and at the end he puts a little picture of Ben's granddad, like rest in peace. And none of us knew it was coming. And I swear to you, man, I was crying. Like, it choked me up. And it's a powerful song. It's a really powerful song. Again, great lyrics.
Yeah, it's putting that it's raw, it's real, it's that human element. And the lyric video certainly shows that. And again, that's something relatable for people as well, because we've sadly lost family members through tragic moments, myself through COVID. That's why I particularly have strong opinions on the vaccines. When there was a lot of people were so anti-vaccine, etc. And I'm like, well, the family member that I lost, I wish they'd had the vaccine at that time, or they'd still be here. So, I think, like we were saying, how music especially is great for both the writing and playing of getting those emotions out there, especially helping with mental health. Hardcore music has helped me a lot through difficult times as well. I think just the rawness of it, and hearing people talk about some of the similar things that they've gone through in the songs. And it's funny, man, because I wouldn't have thought like that before until it happened. Then when it happened, and it could be a song I've listened to 20 million times, but then when you go through that, and then I'm kind of listening to it differently. It kind of hits home more. So yeah, for sure. I do like the video that you did for Deceived as well, one of the earlier ones. I like, there's a live footage there. Ben certainly looks like a crazy Viking on stage with the headbanging parts. Looks very high energy. But the imagery in that video as well, to go with the lyrics, I thought is very powerful. And I feel the black and white really emphasizes that. and puts that across to the listener. So that was one I particularly enjoyed.
Good. Yeah, that's about, again, my interpretation is a rat race, but also being lied to and deceived.
Yeah.
Just feel like everyone's out to get you, basically, like a never-ending battle. But yeah, that's my interpretation of it. And then when James made the video for that, I was like, yeah, that's exactly how I've envisaged it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like that, man. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, you're very welcome. So I want to ask is, you included the I mentioned Bloodstock earlier. You included on the EP Capable of Murder and When Kings Meet, the live versions of them. Did you just want to do that to share that good experience and memory with fans, and so they can hear the energy of what it was like when you played there?
Yeah, we consider ourselves a live band, and we wanted to kind of implement that into our EP. And there's been a bit of a backlash because of the actual sound of it. But to be fair, we didn't really care. We wanted to share our experience.
Yeah.
And that was our big experience that we had.
It is. But sorry, Hardip.
No,
when we suggested this, we was obviously had it with the idea that we was watching the show back on YouTube. You got the whole set on there.
Yeah.
And then we weren't really thinking of just audio only. And then obviously it doesn't quite capture it as we remembered it or saw it. But at the same time, like Hard says, it is raw and it's real.
Yeah.
But my thinking behind it was, you hear those two songs, and if you listen to them compared to the recording on the EPs, you realise how much we changed it when he went into the studio. And Hard was coming up with ideas, a day or two before we actually recorded. And I like that because you can hear the song as you played it for a year live to people, and then actually what we did to change it when we went in the studio and basically reinvigorated it and made it even more powerful. So that's why I like those audio tracks being on there, because you can hear the difference in the two tracks. Even though they're very similar, you'll hear the nuances in there. So I liked it. And yeah, like Hard said, that was our biggest moment. So it may not sound perfect, but it's just what we went through, so share it.
Yeah, and it's putting that rawness out there for people. To be honest, I've heard a lot worse sounding grindcore and hardcore bands where it's been really, really lo-fi. I mean, there's a genre called noisecore where it's like, oh man, it's not something I like myself, but it is quite entertaining to listen to for a comedic purpose, because it's people essentially using actual household items as instruments, like dudes playing drums on washing machines and stuff like that. It's absolute craziness. There was a guy from Texas in the States who did a band called I have to say this politely, Bottle of Urine, but we would call obviously the name for urine, the slang term, yeah. And this dude it was literally him hitting household appliances and everything, screaming down a mic. And then at the end of the set, he would just absolutely destroy the stage. He would just start smashing up the table and everything. I'm like, people have paid money to see this as well. It's like 5 minutes of a lunatic just destroying his kitchen live.
That's the occasion of trying to have a conversation with Ben.
Just crazy stuff, man. It really was. There's a couple of shows you've got coming up that I certainly want to ask you about. One coming up, Slaughterhouse Festival. No, that's the later one. I've got a bit out of order there. Sorry. Which is, that's got an awesome name in itself. So I just wondered, you've got starting on the 17th of December, the M2M in London. You're doing that one. So I just wondered if you could plug that for us, tell people a little bit about it.
Got it.
Yeah, so we were fortunate enough to win Metal to the Masses in 2022, and the outcome of that, we're in the position where we can headline, be a guest headliner.
Nice.
At certain Metal to the Masses shows. So yeah, we've been asked to do one in December and make it a bit of a Christmas theme, I suppose.
Yeah.
So it'd be good end of the year like that. We weren't going to do any more shows up until next year, so this one's come along. So we're glad we got this one to end the year on.
Yeah, special. It's a special one, man. It's an event that gave us so much, so it's nice to go back and be involved still. And it's quite, you know, even though you're coming back as like a guest headliner because you won the competition. Yeah, can you imagine going back and then not being the best band there? So
yeah, that would be a bit of a downside, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that's the attitude we have. Like, let's try and show why we won it. You know, let's try and put a show on. Let's be good, and keeps us on our toes. You know, we're looking forward to that one.
And I've got to ask, guys, you've got the When Kings Meet UK tour, March to May next year, various locations across the UK. So, are you coming up north?
We are, definitely. We can't specify just yet where, but we got some ideas in mind. Yeah.
Keep me in the loop, man, for that.
Yeah. So we're looking. I won't specify venues, but a float between Scotland, Birmingham, Manchester.
Nice.
And then a few more in between as well. So yeah, definitely coming up north, mate. The scene up north, I think, better.
Yeah, that's absolutely fantastic to hear. And I'm in the northeast of Scotland, is pretty much next door as well. So
Newcastle, we do want to do a Newcastle show. So that try and get one penciled in, man, definitely.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great. Coming headbang live. And you've got another one, the one that I started with, the wrong festival. I love the name of this, Slaughterhouse Festival. I mean, that just screams a delightful romantic evening for sure. So, how did you get hooked up with that one, man?
It'll take a while to that
one. Yeah, go on, Hard. Sorry, mate.
No, go on. You go.
If I remember rightly, I could be wrong. So if it's not true, like, you know, Liam from Unearthed might I was wrong, but I think it came about. I think Liam knew about it, and was floating the idea of us playing it, and obviously asking the organisers. But also, you know, Slammer made a comeback, the thrash band.
Oh, did they come back? I didn't know that.
They come back, and then I think they've disappeared again.
Right.
We basically Ben got in touch with them, and I had a chat with one or two of them, but Ben was liaising with them, and they were going to play Slaughterhouse, if I remember rightly.
Yeah.
That kind of generated a bit more momentum to getting us into it, and which is why we were. It's a great festival anyway, but we were buzzing for it because Slammer were going to be there.
Yeah.
And I think that's how it came about, the whole conversation with it. We're still playing it, obviously, but Slammer aren't. But it's going to be epic, man. There's some fat bands on there.
Yeah, Solitary as well. They've been making the waves recently, and Shrapnel too. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah, two massive thrash bands. So it's a huge gig.
Yeah, for sure. I think that'll be killer, and it's quite a nice price as well. It's only £8, folks. So definitely get down there. You'd pay more going to the cinema and stuff for a Marvel movie. So, you know, go down and support real mosh for sure. I did want to ask you both as well. Have you been pleased with the reviews that When Kings Meet have got, and have there been any where you feel that reviewer really has encapsulated the essence of the EP?
Yeah, man. We're all buzzing with what everyone's had to say about it, and it's interesting. You said, has anyone captured what we feel it is? And the review, don't get it wrong, there's so many good reviews, but the one that stood out for me, we shared it the other day, was a girl called Leanne, Metal Maiden, and she once or twice mentioned the fact that it's a bunch of mates having fun together, and it's a bunch of mates just doing what they want to do, and she couldn't be more right. That's exactly what it is. So that really, I've loved every review, even the ones that aren't as good, because you want to hear another review. But that one particular, and she said some awesome things about, you know, the riffs are like slabs of meat in an abattoir getting smashed to pieces, and that couldn't have gone down any better, man. We've had some great feedback, and it's just nice to hear good things about something you're so passionate about.
Yeah, it is. So when you get, I've never asked a band this actually before, but you know, when you get a negative review, or you feel like someone, you know, sometimes you get those reviews where someone just really trashes the music, and I get, okay, not everyone is going to like the same thing because music is subjective. I get that, but just going from my own experience in the past, I would always, unless something really, really was that bad, I would always try and look for something positive in it as well. Say, okay, this might not be what I like, but I like, say, this area or what they're doing here, or this part is good. So when you get I don't know, I guess, you know, Trashathon Gangster completely just throwing dumpster fire on everything, do you just essentially just take that on board and think, okay, that's just their opinion, and move on?
What about you, Hardip?
Yeah, I think you have to. Yeah. It's not going to be everyone's cup of tea, and you know, you're not going to win over everyone. But like at the end of the day, we put out the music that we want to do. You know, if you like it, you like it. If you hate it, you hate it. And like so, it just goes over our head, really.
Yeah. Has there ever been have you ever had a review like, well, what's been one of the most amusing ones that you've had, good or bad, that's made you all giggle?
So we've not really had, like, if people have asked to review it or we've asked them to, we've not actually had a bad one per se.
Nice.
But we try and get our tracks onto playlists on Spotify and stuff.
Yeah.
And the curators come back to you with feedback, whether your song's made it or not. And sometimes some of the comments that come back are just so ridiculous because they're kind of trying to justify what you're paying for. So these just average dudes in their bedrooms with playlists, and they'll just come back with some. But the one thing that stood out to me, because whether you like our music or not, I think it's very well produced. Very well produced. We pay good money. Oz Hidden Tracks he's great at what he does. And one of the reviewers came back and said, "Oh, the production's terrible. It's really tinny and old-fashioned." Oh. That pissed me off more than anything else because I was like, "That's a lie." Because whether you like the song or not, you're just talking shit.
Pretty much.
The production value is good. I don't criticise at all. But like Hard says, not everyone's gonna like it.
Yeah.
And we actually find we might make a comment like, "Oh, F off, what do you know?" But we do. It is quite funny, some of the stuff we get back from the Spotify playlist. It is funny to read negative stuff sometimes. It's funny. Yeah. But we're not going to change what we do. So this is basically Imperium, and it's going to just keep coming. So
it's pretty much given like a stand-up. I think those kind of comments are just a wealth of material for stand-up comedians as well. They literally could just recite all of those kind of hate that they've got.
That's a good idea. You know, we should get all the bad stuff out of it. You know, when they
that'd be good actually.
Dig it up and share it because it is quite funny. But reviews are quite positive, so there's nothing to touch on there.
Yeah, that's good to hear. And I think with audio production as well, and people have got to realize, with some genres, a more unclean, gutter sound, less, I guess, high value end of audio works better because that music is more historically based around that kind of sound. And then for other genres, you need a cleaner sound that would work. Or it's like I was talking to Jonas from Comaniac yesterday, a Swiss thrash band, and he was telling me that the first album they put out was very raw, very like old school thrash, really raw, aggressive. And the two follow-on albums now, he said some people have complained a little because there's more melodic songs on there. It's not always so raw. And I said, well, they've still got that balance. He still has kind of, I guess, as you mentioned, Metallica earlier, Scott, you know, on Ride the Lightning and Master of Puppets, where they've got those melodic kind of balladesque tracks in a way that aren't so heavy as the other ones, but are still very powerful. He's kind of like got songs like that on his album, but he's still got the raw, early thrash that they always played as well. The thing that I noticed had changed is just the audio production. It's just a lot cleaner, it's better, but it still can be insanely aggressive. So again, I think it's what works for a genre, knowing when to use it as well, because people got to realize if it sounds even too lo-fi, too bad, pretty much unlistenable, that's not going to do the band justice, because it's, you know,
No.
it's going to sound like a turd.
Yeah, we great bands at our sort of level, and some of their stuff they release doesn't do them justice.
Yeah.
So there's definitely a place for sounding raw, but not, like you say, not so raw that it's crap. Like, because I know there's some bands, if they, it's not, I'm not saying because they choose not to pay the money, maybe because they think that recording sounds better for them. But I think if you want to cross over to subgenres and appeal to the masses more, better production would do it justice. Yeah. So I think there's a place for a time and a place for levels of production, definitely. And it's getting it spot on and right. Like, if you listen to Nirvana's stuff, I mean, that sounds like it's recorded in a bedroom, right? Yeah. But it's still fucking awesome because it's their sound. Yeah. And he, I meant to comment on this with Nirvana earlier, and I know Ross, who I'm my friend who I mentioned, who I co-host another YouTube channel with. He knows the band that Kurt was in before Nirvana, and apparently they were quite raw and pretty heavy. Now we're live, I forget the name of them. Do you have as well any more planned merchandise coming to support the EP? I know you've got hoodies and things available at the moment, some pretty sick designs. Just wonder if there's anything else coming soon. Ben's come up with the idea of like individual, well, we had the Iron Thunder t-shirts. Yeah. And Ben's got this little idea coming out soon for a Capable of Murder t-shirt. Ooh. I think is pretty sweet. Yeah, so we're going to release that hopefully. What was the plan to release that? Is it on the tour or is it with the video with Capable?
Probably along with the video, wasn't it? Yeah,
which is another. The video is just absolute. It's nothing to do with relationships. That one, it's just absolute. It was a concept by someone, and we've gone, do you know what? That's fucking awesome. So we're looking coming out. Yeah, definitely. People might look at it and just go, "Oh my god, that's shite," and turn it off. Or it's carnage, man. It's carnage.
I look forward to seeing it, man, for sure. Sadly, guys, I'm going to have to cut it short a bit because my throat, you've probably seen me mute out quite a bit, is really starting to give me some trouble at the moment. But something I always like to do when we get to the end of the show is really give people the opportunity to shout out, promote, plug anything they want, whether it's related to the bands or anything else they're passionate about. So both of you, is there anything or anyone you would like to shout out and promote?
He's on a delay.
Sorry. It's cutting out there. Sorry.
Is there anything you would like to promote or shout out at all? Anything or anyone?
Well, I sort of would like to promote our EP, I suppose. Whoever
that would be good.
Our music, please, give it a miss. And I'd like to give a shout out to everyone who has bought our material so far. Liam at Unearth Management, he's been giving us massive amount of support by getting us gigs and just supporting us as a band as well.
Awesome. And you, Scott, what I was saying, Hardip, you've always cutting out whenever I get to the end of the show. I always like to give people the opportunity to promote and shout out anything they want, whether it's related to the band or anything else. So, Scott, anything you would like to shout out?
Yeah, like Hard said, check our EP out. Whether you buy it online or at least stream it, tell all your friends about it. Anyone you know in a band who wants support or wants to support us, tell them about it. Thank you to everyone who supports us. Like, we're doing really well because we've got some good fans who promote us, tell their friends about us, share our posts. We've got a Patreon. Thank you to everyone on there, because the cost of a band is crippling sometimes, and these guys are really helping. And as it's our next show, shout out Metal to the Masses, because who knows, we might not be where we are now where we are now, but you know, we're doing okay. We might not be there without Metal to the Masses, so big shout out to that, and Unearth Music as well.
Definitely, totally agree with that. People, the cost that you have to put into running a band, well, anything in the arts, even this, people have asked me, oh, why don't you go to this festival, say, you know, abroad, whatever, to cover this? And I'm like, dude, everything, there's a cost to it. I mean, that's something I can hopefully aim to in the future, but I would more than likely have to get to the point like you running a Patreon, like, okay, for example, you want me to go and cover Hellfest or something, to people, well, you know, I'm going to need the help to do that, because our own budgets only go so far. And if you're not fortunate to come from a very rich background, well, you can exactly. Yeah, I'll be in Tokyo next week to cover the thrash scene out there. I mean, yes, I would love to do it, but yeah. Well, I do want to thank you both for coming on. It's been awesome to chat to you. I want to send a massive shout out to Ben as well. Hopefully get to talk to you at some point as well. Loved hearing about the videos, the inspiration behind the music, lyrics, everything about it. Look forward to seeing the new video and hearing your future music as well, and hopefully get to meet you all in person as well at a show, which would be cool stuff. So
yeah, I'd like that, man.
Yeah, it'd be great, man.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having us on today.
You're very welcome, man. So I'm going to look like I've been momentarily possessed, as I say at the end of every show where I hit end stream and there's a delay, so people be like, what's this dude doing? So I'm about to do that. It's awkward pause time. So I'll see you, everyone out there. Thanks for supporting the show, and I'll see you in the next episode in a couple of hours.
Cheers, guys.
Oh, you're both very welcome.